Garver, and I'm Ivan and Janet Brown's daughter. And I want to say thank you for coming today. I know everyone took time out of their lives to be here with us to celebrate 50 years, and we most certainly appreciate everyone's attendance. I know you're hot, so I'm going to give you a really short and sweet message. I just want to tell you one of my favorite memories about Brownmed. So growing up in Spirit Lake, many Saturdays, my dad would say to me, "Do you want to go to work?" And like most kids, I would think, not really, but he was my dad, and he wanted me to take him to his work, so I would say yes. We would get in his blue Volvo 240 sedan, and we would drive from Spirit Lake to Hartley, Iowa, which for those of you that don't live around here is kind of a drive, about 45 minutes or so. And during that time, I would just sit in the back seat and we would talk. And now, as an adult with 3 children of my own, I know that some of our best conversations happen in the car. And my dad probably didn't really want to go to work. He probably just wanted to have some time to talk with me in a relaxed way. So, the best part of all those drives to Hartley, Iowa, wasn't actually the work. It was that after each visit, we would go to the convenience store. And I would get to pick out a candy bar. And every time I would pick a Butterfinger. So that's why you all have a Butterfinger to enjoy, just like I did on each of those trips. So the take-home message that I hope you get from this story is threefold. 1, love your work. 2, share it with the people you care about. And 3, enjoy something sweet when you're finished. So now I'll turn it over to my dad, Ivan, and again, thank you for coming.
Hi, everyone. You know, it's fun for me to watch everyone come today to celebrate this event. In fact, there was a point at which I thought, this sounds just like a family reunion. You know, people saying, "Hi, how are you? How many years has it been? Where are you now?" And all the conversation and talk and everything. And probably the most beautiful thing about that to me is after this celebration, we're all still going to enjoy working together and getting back together tomorrow. So I want to thank you all. What a great day this is. And I particularly want to thank Matt Garver and Tammy Gambardella who put together that historical video of Brownmed. That was very, very special, just fantastic. It's really so great to see all of you, and thank you very much for coming out for our 50th anniversary celebration. Pretty amazing, 50 years in business. Like anything that's been around for 50 years, there's a pretty interesting story connected to Brownmed. So today I'm going to weave together some of those historical themes and give you an impression of our future. But first I'd like to reciprocate a little bit with a story about Tylea. Before we get started, it's a family story. I want to thank her for that kind introduction. But one day when Tylea was a little girl, she very defiantly told her mom and me that you are not the boss of me. And after several years of working through that standoff, we decided that Tylea clearly is a Brown. Because her "nobody is going to boss me around" attitude is consistent with her father's attitude, It's consistent with her grandfather Ivan's attitude. It's consistent with her great-grandfather Cece, her great-great-grandfather Francis, and all of the Levi Browns that go back to the 17th century. We've all struck out to be a little different. And it all begins with that, look, I'm not taking orders from anyone. So, you know, perhaps the most joyous thing that I've experienced is hearing the story that Kylea later told us about her daughter, Ruby. Ruby right here, who is our granddaughter, is 4 years old. She recently explained to her mom and dad that I'm the boss. So 4 years old, and she's telling her parents who's the boss, and really all I have to say, Kylea, is you're really going to find out what that means when she gets to her teenage years. So again, I want to thank you all for coming to our 50th anniversary celebration. Over the years, we've partnered with a number of institutions in the Lakes region, and I want to thank them for everything they've done to help us accomplish our goals. I also want to thank our current and past board members, Clayton Korber, Steve Goodenough, J.C. Brown, Janet Brown, Kylea Brown, and Barb Mendenhall for the steady direction they have provided me over the years. And I also want to thank our former employees, both retired and those that have come back to see us today for taking time to be here. I want to thank also the employees that have come all the way from Boston, Kansas City, as well as Spirit Lake employees to be with us today. You know, some of our employees have been here 26 years, and some just 26 days. And whether it's 26 days or 26 years, all of them have stood by me through this time to build Brownmed, and I appreciate it very much. So the team that put this whole event together, the tour, planned everything, they're just great folks, and I wanted to actually call them out. Ian Ackroyd, Kathy Denny, Shirley Dolphin, Tammy Gambergella, Matt Garber, and Brian Miller, all that are on that team. Thank you very much. So I also want to thank my family, Nick, Ryan, Lee, Sean, Matt and Kylea and their 3 children, Miles and Ruby and Jack. Jack is indoors getting a little air conditioning, I think. And also I want to thank my brother JC, with whom I share this uncanny bond that has really lasted over a long period of time. And you know, I really feel like a lucky guy because just recently, JC and I have reconnected with our sister Nancy and her husband Dan, and they came all the way from Grand Marais, Minnesota to be a part of this event today. So thank you very much for coming. And of course, I want to, I'll need help. I will need help, sorry. But I want to thank my wife, Jim. This summer, we're going to celebrate our 37th anniversary. And we told our friends in Boston that this summer we're celebrating our 50th anniversary. And they all look at us very surprised, and they say, "You've been married 50 years?" And we play along with that a little bit. We say yes, because in the Midwest it's still okay to get married when you're 13 years old. And you know, they think Midwesterners are gullible, but really, they fall for that, and I love it. So, yeah, we've been married 30 years, or 37 years, and we have a good time with them and laugh about that. And then we do explain that it's 50 years in business, not 50 years of marriage. But sincerely, Janet, and I know the words of Paul Thorne are corny, but if I could be a tear rolling down your cheek and die on your lips, my life would be complete. All I ever wanted was to be your best friend. You're mine. And ever since I met you 40 years ago, you've lifted my spirit and touched my soul. So we're gathered today to celebrate the life of Brownmed, over 50 years in business. As part of this celebration, it will become clear how we plan to continue the innovation and growth of Brownmed. But to start, I want to share some background to help us understand how we have carried on since my dad's death in 1982. Until now, only my family knew my dad's last words before he died. With my mother at his side, my dad said, "I guess you will just have to carry on without me." So that's why I called this talk, Carry On. How have we carried on? And how will we carry on in the future? Well, let's begin with a few comparisons. When Dad died, sales were $158,000 a year. We made one product, the one we invented, the Plastilube finger spoon, and we employed 3 people, 2 of whom are with us today, Mary Rons and Betty Smith. And so it's nice to have you back. Mary and Betty worked in a 2,000 square foot facility behind the family home in Hartford. And half of that space was devoted to Dad's woodworking hobby. So let's take a look at some of the other changes that have taken place since 1982. We're going to flash up a little screen and roll through it. But in 82, we had 1 brand in the market. Today we have 13 brands. We had 1 product. Today we have 100 products. We have 10 SKUs. Today we have 1,100 SKUs. And for those that wonder what SKU is, what was that? Stock keeping unit. So if you have a product with 3 sizes, that's 3 SKUs, I guess. So we have 1,100 of those. We had 0 products in design. Today we have 20 products in design. We had 1 patent. Today we have 45. We had 0 patents pending. Today we have 10 patents pending. We had 1 trademark. Today we have 50. In 1982, we had made 0 acquisitions, and since then we've made 5 acquisitions. We had 1,000 square feet of manufacturing space. Today we have 83,000 square feet. We were located in Hartley. Today we're headquartered in Boston, Massachusetts. We have our sales office in Kansas City, Missouri, and our manufacturing plant here in Spirit Lake. Back then we manufactured in just 1 country. Today we manufacture in 4 countries, including the United States. We manufacture in China, Taiwan, and the Dominican Republic. Our exports at that time were 1% of sales. Today they're 20% of sales. And we exported to 2 countries. Today we export to 73. We had 3 employees. Today we have more than 70 employees. We had 0 employees with 20 years of experience. Today we have 10. 20 years of experience with the company. We had 0 staff in marketing and sales. Today we have 16 staff in marketing and sales. We had just 10 customers, 8 in the U.S., 2 international. Today we have 4,376 customers, 3,825 in the U.S. and 551 are international. And again, our sales were 158,000. Today they're 15.5 million. So let's take a look at some of the brands that we have in the market. The first brand that you're all familiar with is the Classroom finger splint. And since we started making that in 1964, we have made 24 million finger splints. In 1989, we introduced the seal-tight cast and bandage protector. And since we introduced that in 89, we've made 6 million cast and bandage protectors that help people take a shower, bathe, and swim when they have a cast and bandage on. In 93, we introduced Steady Grip and another line called Steady Step. Since then, we've made 400,000 leg and foot braces. In 94, we introduced the Polar Ice cryotherapy line, and since then we've made 200,000 ice therapy wraps. In 98, we introduced Nice Stretch. Since then, 170,000 plantar fasciitis braces. And then in 2002, we introduced the THBO boot. It's not really a brand that we have, but it's a product that we manufacture. And we have made 42,000 wound care devices. These are devices that help people recover from chronic wounds that doctors cannot solve with traditional means. In 2004, we introduced Soft Strike, and since then, 600,000 shoe inserts were made. And then in 2010, we introduced a trio of IMAC products, ergonomic, compression, and RSI. We made 1.8 million compression sleeves, 1.2 million ergonomic cushions, and 800,000 repetitive stress injury braces. In 2013, we introduced the IntelliNetics brand, and since then we've made 4,000 pain management vibration devices. In 2014, we introduced New Baby, and we have made 38,000 garments for mothers and babies. And then most recently, Jaws and Slings was introduced this year, and we have not made many yet. We're on the way with that product line. The founder of that product line was planning to join us, but she had difficulty getting arrangements from San Diego. Well, those are some pretty impressive numbers, and something that make us all very proud, but they are just numbers. So let me tell you what really makes us proud. Since inception in 1964, Brownmed has sustained a focus on the patient. Clearly, this was Dad's focus. He practiced medicine, and his singular concern was taking care of his patients. Our attention to the patient comes from him. So how many patients have we helped in the 50-plus years in business? We estimate 35 million patients we've helped recover from injury and surgery since that time. 35 million. Our success serving patients worldwide derives from a true desire to help people get well. To understand our impression, to understand our passion for improving life, we must go back to my dad's last words. Remember now that my dad said, "I guess you will have to carry on without me." Yes. My dad did say yes. But those who knew him well know that my dad never guessed at anything, except maybe the gambling game of Keno when he and my mom would go to Las Vegas. Far from a guesser, Dad was a scientist. He always examined the evidence, diagnosed the condition, and treated the patient. If he was going to build something, he always had a detailed drawing with specs that would make an engineer proud. In everything, he always understood the outcome before he started to work. JC and I both know one of my dad's favorite lines was, "It's a 10-minute job." We always knew what that meant. It was 10 hours. And the good thing about that is we learned to work. So I'm happy about that. So we all know that there's a lot more to practicing medicine than the science. Good medicine starts with science and finishes with hands on the patient. Dad was a classic hands-on physician. He had the greatest touch of any doctor I've ever known. He actually used touch to help his diagnosis. Over the years, Dad helped hundreds and hundreds of mothers give birth to their children. In fact, my dad's hands were the first to touch some of you in the audience today. It is through my dad's hands that his patients experienced a sense of hope, a hope that they would get well under his care. It is through his hands that Dad healed the sick and cared for the dying and gave birth to the future. And it is with our hands that we design, build, and test new products. The art and science of medicine is practiced in the work done at Brownmed. Through the hands of our employees, we make sure every single product that we send into the world is made with care and will help the patient get well. Our hope is to make a difference in the world, a difference in the lives of patients. The night my dad died remains one of the strangest nights of my life, even today, after 34 years. You see, the night before he died, he called to tell me that Mom had inoperable cancer, lung cancer, and that she did not have long to live. The call ended with something I had never heard before. My father cried. I understood. The next night, my mom called. My immediate thought was, how strange is this? Because Dad told me just the day before that she could barely speak because of the operation they had performed on her neck to do investigation about her cancer. Well, in a whisper, she said that Dad had a heart attack that afternoon, and she didn't know much more. Well, Janet, Nikolai, and I slept on the fold-out couch that night in Boston because it was next to the phone. And sure enough, at 1 a.m., Mom called back to tell us that Dad had died. I believe my dad died of a broken heart. Technically, it was a heart attack, but I think it was a broken heart. So after getting back to sleep that night, I dreamed my dad spoke to me. All he said was, "It is okay." And I can't tell you how many times I pondered that dream over the last 34 years and asked why I left an academic job, an academic career, to work in the business that Dad started. And I think I finally figured it out. I figured out why we do this work at Brownmed. And the answer is right here. It's in our hearts. You see, our minds are really good at figuring out where we want to go. But really, our hearts are the only thing that can guide us there. Because our hearts are filled with compassion and love and desire and hope. And those are the only things worth pursuing in life. All we ever have, really, is hope. And our hope is alive and well at Brownmed. Just recently, a couple of employees noticed one of our coworkers wasn't quite right. They kept an eye on him. And sure enough, he suffered a minor seizure. But because they were there to care for him right away, he's okay. See, it's not just about how we make things at Brownmed. It's how we care for one another at Brownmed. Our caring about Brownmed has a deeper history. You see, when I was a teenager, I saw my dad practice what we preach. One of his employees, Mary Rons, had a sick baby. And her baby required her constant attention. So Mary had to either quit working or something else. Well, she and Dad worked out something else. Mary came to work with her baby Debbie and had Debbie with her there at work. And even Dad allowed Mary to take work home occasionally, packaging various things so she could be with her baby Debbie. So, you see, Dad had a more sophisticated understanding of business. Not that he didn't care about profitability and all the stuff that they teach in business school. He did. Heck, he could add a stack of numbers in his head without a calculator. But for him, there was a bigger purpose. And that purpose was caring for one another. Whether it's in the streets, or in the clinic, or in the business. So that's what I leave you with today. We are okay, and our hearts are strong. When Kylie had told us 25 years ago that you're not the boss of me, I promised Janet that I would do everything in my power to make sure she became whatever she wanted to be in life. And I'm so proud she's chosen to carry on in the family business. She joined us 11 years ago, working in customer service, and she's worked for us in a variety of capacities, from sales to marketing sense, including earning her postgraduate degree in public health. She could be anything she wanted to be, but she has chosen to carry on with Brownmed as our new president starting this January. I'm not retiring, and I'm not going away. I'm just shifting my focus to the work of a CEO in areas of strategic planning, new products, and acquisitions. And the best thing of all, guess who gets to be the boss of you, Kylie? And Ruby, who's sleeping right now, you have to wait your turn. Now, there are some who wonder why we are not a much bigger company after all the work, the patents, the new products, the new customers. Believe me, I wonder that too, and everyone that works with me wonders the same thing. Why are we not bigger than we are? Well, believe me when I say, we will get bigger. We will get bigger not because we'll change what we've done, but because we will continue doing what got us here. You see, our focus has never been big. Our focus has always been patient. And there are 7,000 med tech firms competing with us in this country, just in the United States. 63% of them have fewer than 20 employees. We have 70, so I guess we're bigger than the vast majority of our competitors out there. So we have done something right. It's just a tough world to operate in. So remember, our focus is not bigger, but the patient. Growing up in a doctor's family in the 1950s and 60s, we saw the sacrifice made daily by Dad. He worked 12-hour days, 6 days a week. We always waited for him to come home at the end of the day to eat dinner, usually around 7:30 at night. It was not unusual for Dad to get a call during dinner, an emergency call, that would require him to go to the hospital. He would always take one more bite and then head out the door. At least once or twice a week, he would get a call at 2 or 3 in the morning. I know because my bedroom was right next to theirs, and that phone call always woke me up. I would hear my dad walk down the steps. I would hear his car pull out of the garage, and then I would fall back asleep. To say that he sacrificed is an understatement. The most important thing to him was his patience. He gave his life so he could serve his patients. That is how I grew up. I saw his commitment on a daily basis. I saw the wear and tear it took on me. I saw him do remarkable things on half the sleep that most of us get every single night. Our challenge is to remember that sacrifice and to foster the willingness in those we touch to sacrifice for others so that we all may live a better life. Our world will be a better place when we start living for others, when we feel confident our daily commitments will be rewarded with the joy of knowing we helped others, when we understand our sacrifice is for the future. So what started as a small family business in the 1960s has become a larger family business in the 21st century. But you know something? Our family has become a lot larger than anyone imagined. My promise is to stand by Kylea and stand with all of you as we create the future. Thank you very much.